Hey again, Honors Bio. This is going to be Unit 3 cells. This is video 3B, active transport. Video 3B, active transport. So now we're going to talk about moving things back and forth across a cell where we're actually using extra energy. We're going to go uphill now instead of downhill. You can see this picture is a great comparison. Passive transport, always going high to low, high to low, high to low. But here's active transport. Now it's using energy, usually in the form of this molecule we call ATP, which we'll learn a lot about when we talk about photosynthesis. But it's going against the concentration gradient. Now you'd think, okay, well if this is my solute, these little diamonds, I should go from high to low, high to low. But active transport doesn't necessarily do that. Active transport is going to get us what we need, even if it's against the concentration gradient. So remember, concentration gradient is like a hill. Active transport goes up the hill, so you need to use energy. First example is called a cell pump. These are proteins that are going to move molecules, again, from low to high, so we're going uphill. One example is called the sodium-potassium pump. You guys can see sodium and potassium. It's necessary for our nervous system to function, and it maintains what we call an electrical gradient, or an electrical charge on both sides of the cell. It's actually a really interesting process that helps us to get messages from the end of one neuron to the beginning of the next. And without that process, we couldn't do the things that we need to do. That's why it's always important for us to have a certain amount of salt, but not too much, and also potassium. If you've ever heard someone say, you're starting to maybe cramp up, or you've been working out too much and you're dehydrated, a part of that is getting the water that you need, but another part is the imbalance of your sodium and potassium. So when we get really dehydrated, what starts to happen is not only are we running out of water, but we're having difficulty with our nervous system due to the imbalance of these ions right here. Picture the sodium-potassium pump. You don't have to know the details of this, you just have to know that cell pumps are an example of active transport, but just to kind of show you an example of how it works. Okay, we got sodium on this side, and as sodium's coming in or moving out, actually I'm sorry, sodium's moving out right here, potassium's going to be moving in at the same time, and as sodium's going out and potassium's coming in, their charges help to create a sort of flip sort of a switch in order to get messages across our neurons. It's way more complicated than that, but just so you guys know, that's one part of how information gets through your nervous system. Endocytosis, another example of active transport. Endo means in, cyto means cell. Endocytosis is where the cell membrane wraps itself around material and takes it into the cell. The cell membrane folds around, makes this little vesicle, and the vesicle can come in and be used by different organelles. Example of endocytosis, taking things in, it's called phagocytosis, and that's a cell taking in solids, or I remember it as a cell eating. Same concept of endocytosis, material comes in, it's wrapped in a vesicle, can then be used by organelles in the cell. Pinocytosis, again, another example of things coming into the cell, or endocytosis. This is a cell taking in liquid. Exocytosis is the opposite. Exo means outside, cyto means cell, exocytosis. It's where a vesicle bonds with the cell membrane and releases waste materials outside of the cell. A great example of this is our lysosomes. Lysosomes will take some waste material from the cell, maybe it's a dead organelle, and it will take that vesicle and bond with the cell membrane and then release its material to the outside of the cell. Now make sure that you guys know the difference between passive and active transport. Now this is a very simple description. Passive transport does not require any extra energy to complete. It always results in equilibrium. Very simple. It always goes with the concentration gradient. Examples of that are diffusion, osmosis, facilitated diffusion. Now active transport requires extra energy to complete. It goes uphill, and it goes against the concentration gradient. It does not result in equilibrium. Examples of that are cell pumps, endocytosis, exocytosis, pinocytosis, and phagocytosis. Okay, just another little picture comparing the two. These are examples of passive transport. Which one am I missing there? I'm missing osmosis. Excuse me, guys. And you can see going from high to low, high to low. What's this little thing right here called in facilitated diffusion? It's called a protein channel. Okay, and it acts like a lock and key. And then active transport, we're going to go from low to high, low to high. And we're going to use energy. Not going to result in equilibrium. All right, so you guys, that's the difference between passive and active. Make sure that you guys can compare those two things. And on my website also, there are 2 videos that they walk you through active, passive, and also phagocytosis if you want to take a look at them. Those are both on my website. Actually, you should watch both of them when you're done with this video, okay? They don't take very long. And that is the end of Unit 3 notes. Woohoo! Congrats, you guys.